Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of Transformational Thursday. I almost said let's talk real estate investing. Think quitting your job makes you a boss? Is that what you think? No, it doesn't. You don't step into your CEO life when you resign. You step into it when you shift your mindset, when you shift how you think. That can start even before you quit your job. So my question to you is, what's the first word that comes to mind when you hear CEO mindset? I want you to drop that into the comments for me. When you hear the word CEO mindset, what comes to mind for you? Let me know. Hey everyone, my name is Debbie Balfour. If you don't already know, I'm sure you know. Welcome to Transformational Thursday. This is your weekly wake-up call to step out of survival mode and into freedom. If you're watching live, drop hashtag live in the comments, and if you are watching the replay, then drop replay in the comments so that I know that you stopped by later. Hey there, Layla. Welcome. Today's topic we're going to talk about is the real first steps in leaving your 9-to-5 and becoming the person who can lead the business you want to build. I've been doing this series so far. We've been talking a lot about quitting that 9-to-5. I've said to you, don't quit until you've done certain things. We're going through those things in each Transformational Thursday recently. Today's one is centered on mindset. It's that CEO mindset. What does that mean? Why does it matter? Here's what I often see. Someone leaves their job to start a business, but they bring the same employee mindset that you had. And what happens? They're waiting for permission to make moves. But there's no one to give you permission anymore. It's just you, right? So what happens? You get stuck because you're waiting for someone to tell you what's the next thing to do, tell you whether it's the right thing to do. There isn't anyone that's going to be there. You need to shift that mindset. And start shifting it in your job, like taking initiative in that job. Or if you've got your real estate investing on the side, you need to start shifting it. You need to not think of that real estate investing you have on the side as just like a hobby, but it's a business. You are the CEO, even if you're doing it part-time. I want you to shift that. As a CEO of your own business, you need to not fear mistakes. You need to welcome the mistakes because that fear of the mistakes is stopping you from doing anything. And do you think a CEO, when you think of CEOs that are out there, do you think that they fear mistakes? No, they make bold moves. So you need to, those who are bringing that same employee mindset, they fear those mistakes and they stay small. Also, what I've seen with other people with the employee mindset, they're also stuck in overthinking things or burnout because they never learn how to lead themselves. That's something you need to do. It's again that you, as an employee, you had a leader telling you what to do, but you now need to lead yourself. You need to figure out how to manage your time, all these things, so that you don't burn out. Stop overthinking and stop getting stuck in there, and you need to learn how to manage those, how to manage yourself and your time. The other thing I find that people with employee mindsets do, and not CEO mindsets, is they don't think outside the box. They don't stretch their imagination to think outside. They stay in the very narrow scope of what traditionally people would do, and you don't push the boundaries. They don't go outside of that. That's why the mindset must shift before you walk out the door of your 9-to-5 of being an employee. What's one of those beliefs about money or work or success that's tying you to that 9-to-5 identity? I want you to drop that in the comments. Let me know what one of those beliefs you think. Is it money? Is it work or success that's tying you to that 9-to-5? Let's now define what I mean by a CEO mindset. So CEO mindset means that you're driven by vision not the daily tasks. Daily tasks are necessary to execute on the vision, but you need to have the vision, and the vision is what keeps you going. A CEO mindset is driven by vision. CEO mindset is making strategic decisions without waiting for approval. You are now in charge. You need to make those strategic decisions. And how are you making those strategic decisions as a CEO? You're looking at numbers. You're looking at results. You're looking at growth indicators. That's what you're looking at to make those decisions. That's what someone with a CEO mindset uses to make decisions. Numbers, results, growth indicators. What's the market saying? Looking at those kind of things. Also, CEO mindset means that you're operating from a place of ownership, that everything is your responsibility now. And there's no one else. There's no one to blame but yourself. Stop placing blame on, the economy, the this, the that, the other things. As a CEO, you need to acknowledge that those things are there, and you need to take ownership and decisions with those things in mind. Another CEO mindset is delegating tasks that don't generate revenue. You need to learn to give up things that not say, I'm doing it all. When you think of CEOs in big companies, are they doing it all? No, they've got people under them. They've got other people that's executing on tasks, and they're sitting there making the big decisions. They're spending their time on the important things. That is a CEO mindset, being driven by vision, not the daily tasks, making strategic decisions without waiting for approval, looking at numbers, results, and growth indicators, and operating from a place of ownership, delegating tasks that don't generate revenue. CEOs don't just hustle, they lead, delegate, and plan. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Remember that. Real talk here. Your brain is your biggest asset in your business. So you need to train your brain to be a pro. Which of these CEO traits do you already carry? You're driven by vision, strategic decisions, looking at numbers, growth indicators, results. You're operating from a place of ownership, and are you delegating tasks? Which of those ones? Just one. Let me know in the comments which ones you already carry and which one's a challenge for you. I could almost guess right away that delegating is one of the big ones for many of you. It's my psychic senses telling me that. But also another big one for us is not looking at the numbers and to make decisions and results. How do we build this mindset? Step one, put your pen and paper, craft your vision and your vision statement. What are you building? Who are you serving? And how will it feel when it's real for you? How does it feel? Like you need to feel it, taste it, use all your senses. Step number two, this is the time to review. You're going to block CEO time weekly. Block a day and call it your CEO day. Or block a half a day. Friday, so tomorrow for instance. Say you take tomorrow, do it right away tomorrow, block in tomorrow, first half of the day, because that's your alpha waves are running first thing in the morning. Use that alpha waves and block that CEO time in. And this time will be a weekly schedule every week. You're going to block that CEO time where you're going to review your goals, you're going to review your plan, and you're going to plan your content out. You're going to track your numbers of what you're going to be, what you want to achieve, how are you doing. You're going to keep tracking that. And rather than putting out fires, this time is not to put out fires. It's to concentrate on planning your goals, plan your content, track your numbers. Relook at your strategy. How is it going? How are you achieving this? Does it need to be tweaked? And what happened last week? What happened so far this week? What did you learn from it? How can you change what you're doing right now instead of waiting a month, 2 months from now? Always doing like the lessons learned weekly. How can you make things better, or what's going well that you want to keep doing? Step 3 will be shift your time for money to value for money. Focus your time on solving problems and creating outcomes than just keeping busy. Just because you're busy 8 hours of the day doesn't mean you're productive, doesn't mean that you're moving forward. And focus on solving problems and creating outcomes. But then who's doing the other work, that other tasks that need to be done? That's where step 4 is delegate tasks. You're going to want to start out by start tracking all the tasks you're currently working on. Write down everything you do. And then once you have that written down, I want you to determine which of those tasks absolutely need you. Which ones are revenue generating, are the problem solving. Which one are the ones that are for you to create new ideas? Which of those tasks are those ones? And all the other ones that are not generating revenue, I'm not saying they're not important. They don't need to be done, but they're not important for you to do it. I want you to write those down and say, that's also, if you don't like doing something, those ones is something I want you to identify too. I don't like it. Because when you don't like doing something, it takes you longer and you're more likely to procrastinate on it. Identify what tasks must be done but don't generate any revenue. Identify the tasks that you do not like doing. And then I want you to also document how to execute each of those tasks. Once you've got that, now you're ready to start delegating it to someone else. You can then delegate those tasks off to someone else, leaving you time to what we talked about in step 3, to be totally focused on creating new ideas, thinking outside the box, solving problems, creating successful outcomes. Now, step number 5 is upgrade your circle. Upgrade the circle that you're in. Start by listening to CEO podcasts. Like, start reading books about CEOs, right? About the CEO mindset. Start reading business books. Start pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and start looking at, how can I run my business better? Start joining communities where this mindset, this CEO mindset, a business ownership mindset, is a norm. It doesn't matter if you're not there yet. You want to surround yourself with people that are there. Have you heard the term? You want to be the dumbest person in the room. You don't want to be the brightest person in the room. You want to be the dumbest person in the room. So that you can learn from other people and you can start getting infused by that mindset. And then step 6 will be invest in growth. Invest in mentorship, in coaching, courses, not as expensive, but as tools to become who your next level requires. So many people I've seen that, go into courses, pay for membership, take all these, like free webinars and all these things. But where does it go? It goes into what I call the education graveyard, because they don't do anything with it. If you take a course, if you take coaching, make sure you complete it. Make sure that what you take is implemented directly into your business, directly into you. Like if it's a mindset one, what are you doing to change that? For instance, I am starting a book club right now, and a monthly book club. And part of that book club for my members will be to get them to do something like weekly, where I'm going to assign chapters, and then what I'm going to ask them challenging questions like, okay, how are you going to implement what you just learned in the last 3 chapters? What are you doing to implement that? How are you going to do that? And then I want them to track how they're doing. Don't just read a book. Read a book and take 1 or 2 concepts from that and implement it right away. Listen to a podcast, the same thing. What are you going to take from that podcast? Implement it right away into who you are, into your business. Those are all things that like a CEO does. They don't just read for the sake of reading. To make mentorship and coaching, it's important that you have it to invest in growth. But don't just take it and do nothing with it. Not just an expense. It's a tool for you to level up. Which of these steps are you most excited about or nervous about? Let me know in the comments to take action on. I want you, just like as I preach, these lives too, if you're listening to these lives, I want you to take at least one thing away from this live that you are going to do. Tell me what that one thing is. Are you going to sit down and craft your vision of what you're building, who you're serving, and how will it be real? Are you going to start blocking some CEO time every week where you're going to review your goals, you're going to plan your content, you're going to track your numbers, rather than putting out, sitting around, jumping around to put out fires? Are you going to do maybe step 3, shift time, money for value for money, where you're focusing on solving problems and creating those successful outcomes rather than just being busy 8 hours a day? Are you going to look at tracking your tasks in order to delegate them? Start generating what tasks are you doing. Start creating SOPs around those tasks so that you can give it away. Be prepared to give it away. Right? Yeah, that person may not do it perfectly like you would right away, but given time that they will. And what is it going to be a big deal? If I have to review something as opposed to do it, that only takes me a little bit of time instead of doing all the work. So be prepared to give it away, right? Stop being a martyr and trying to do it all. You can't. If you try to do it all, then you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to move forward. Delegate tasks. Which are you going to upgrade your circle? Like start moving into CEO type podcasts, CEO type communities. I've been telling people, I have started since like middle of last year, not just going to real estate investing groups where it's safe, where I know the people. I ventured out on my own, not with anybody else, and I started to go to entrepreneur groups, going into business groups with business people, where I am, in some cases, the dumbest person in the room. But it's been amazing because I'm getting advice and mentorship from guys who have created businesses, a whole bunch of businesses that have started and sold. For instance, one of the guys is, if some of you have heard of Blends Coffee here in BC, he started Blends Coffee and then sold it. There are so many of these CEO type people out there, business people. Push yourself outside the real estate investing network and community. I'm not saying don't go to them, but cut down how many you go to, because it's the same people each time. And instead use that time to go to more business-minded groups and communities so that that mindset of a CEO becomes your norm. And then invest. Or are you going to start investing in your growth by getting membership and coaching and courses that are not just expenses, that you are actually committed to implementing? If you don't have time to implement, you're not going to do it, then don't take the course. Don't take the membership until you're committed to dedicating that time to implement what you learn. Which of those steps, as I asked, are you excited about or are you nervous about, but you're going to take action on? Put it in the comment. This is your way of accountability. Share it with others. Hold yourself accountable by just putting it out there into the universe. Okay? Are you CEO ready? Drop CEO ready in the comments if you're ready to stop thinking like an employee now and start thinking like a CEO. And what's one small habit shift that you're going to make this week and in the coming week to start thinking like a CEO? I want you to put that into the comments. I always try to offer at the end of my lives something free. Today's live, to go with this, I've created a workbook for you of these questions, things for you to think about. Drop CEO Mindset Workbook into the comments and I will give you the link to download this workbook so that you can take it away and start working on that mindset. And as I mentioned before, I've launched a monthly book club. It's kicking off it on June 27th. The first book is Atomic Habits. If you're interested in joining the book club in the comments, and I'll give you the link and to more details. It's subscription based and it's $15 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Okay? Drop workbook in the comments if you want the CEO Mindset Workbook. Drop the book club in the comments if you want to know more about how to join the book club. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today for Transformational Thursday. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you joining me today. Join me again next week, same time, same place, for next week's Transformational Thursday. Let's keep the momentum going and get you moving forward. See you, everyone. Debbie out.